Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Salute 6 and 26. Woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. All right, and you have a lot of guys who, they know that they're Israelites, and get into these media spaces and, do these interviews, and they had the shiny garments, things that they do to appeal to the masses, to get all these numbers and to gain this level of popularity in this place. When the only thing that should be becoming popular is the name Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, if they even use the name. All right, that's what we are promoting or exalting. All right, not ourselves. And when you do that, spirit of Yahweh Shai, the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is the one that causes division. So people either gonna choose a side, either gonna believe, they're even gonna be given the spirit of belief, or they gonna, totally distance themselves from you, man, and be against the words that you're speaking, which is the words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So, all these guys that got all these folks rooting for them, uh, you can tell what type of spirit that they actually in, man. All right, the world hate Yahweh Shai, man. The world hate the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So if you really in the spirit, of these words, and you relaying these words, relaying these prophecies, whether it be these videos, going out on the highways and byways, all right, when you do these things, all right, it's gonna make people shun you off, not exalt you, man. Which, anybody who's really doing this thing in sincerity ain't looking for no exaltation, no personal exaltation of themselves. We just exalting the name Yahweh, why Yahweh Shai, and you can see straight through this shit, man. With these people, man, they just I'm not talking about anybody specifically, but we've seen it, man. These people, you just see the look in their eyes and the spirit that they walk with, of everybody listening to me, and I'm getting all the attention, man. So if you doing so, who are you actually, or what are you actually taking attention away from, man? All right, and that's how you know these guys are false, man. A lot of them don't weren't taught the prophecies or the breakdown of the prophecies the correct way. So that makes them false, and just the way that they go about teaching in general, man. What's up, bro? Just the way they go about teaching in general, man. All right, but this First John 4 and 5, it says, "They are of the world, therefore speak they of the world, and the world heareth them." All right, because you got these niggas, man. They be fucking doing interviews about current events. It's Gucci Mane, a snitch. Is she shiesty? Is he real? All this worldly shit. And it be, in the garment and shit, the headband, And we speak on current events as it pertains to prophecy, though. You niggas is talking like just a Vlad TV niggas, man. Part of my background, man. I'm in this hospital, man. But, doing interviews on sports and shit and all this dumb shit, man. But that's them speaking of the world, and that's why the world hear them. Anything that you hear the men that really had the truth, all right, speak about as it pertains to the world, is gonna be followed by this is the prophecy that aligns with it. And everybody has folly, watching a boxing match or some shit. You know what I'm saying? But to be being asked about this shit and just giving your worldly opinion on it, show that's where your heart really is. All right, they are of the world, therefore speak they of the world, and the world heareth them, because that's the shit the world want to hear. It says we are of the Most High. He that knoweth the Most High heareth us. He that is not of Yahweh heareth not us. Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. And that's the spirit of error, man. As you speak on these, worldly things, man, on a platform and shit. You might, catch me. I might catch a game. I see somebody at work. Yeah, I seen that shit. Wipe the bam. But on a being invited to a platform, knowing the name Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and that's not the, key or the main thing that you pushing or speaking about is the spirit of error, man. All right. Excuse me. Yeah, Shalaki. So, once again, man, it's the spirit of error, man. All right. That these folks is, oh, no, it's empty. Yeah, they haven't put it out yet. But I'm going to grab that again. 1 John 4:6, we are of the Most High. He that knoweth Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, heareth us. So, them that know the spirit of Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, those who were given the belief and the faith in the Most High and His Son, are the ones that's going to hear the ones who were given the gift to preach the words, to break down the prophecies. All right? It's all of the Most High. It says, he that is not of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai heareth not us. So everybody that, shun you off and, don't really want to hear, what you got going as far as what you preaching, which is the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, are they not of the Most High? It's as simple as that. Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. All right. So the spirit of truth is the truth of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and the spirit of error is everything, outside of that, man. Even, amongst those who know that they're Israelites. And you have, brothers who are, very intelligent that I see. But, that's why the scriptures say a little leaveneth the whole lump. It's that little bit of bullshit, it'll fuck you over, man. Because you're going to be held accountable for that shit. I mean, imagine the Most High asking you, why the fuck was you talking about Gucci, man, when I told you to, preach to the elect? What you going to say? But they would rather speak, going back to verse 5, they are of the world, therefore speak they of the world, and the world heareth them. They just want to be heard by all these people, man, and gain a level of, pick up all this steam and gain this level of popularity that in the end, it don't matter, man. The elect, the hopeful elect, you're going to see that in the kingdom, all this, everything that we desire, man, and more. You can't even think of this, think of these blessings, man, in our little fleshly heads, man. That's when we going to receive everything. That's when you're going to, be royal. Good morning. That's when you're going to be royal. Everything going to be flipped right side up, and we're going to be ruling and, have peace and, riches, wives, all that shit, man. But, a lot of jakes want to, just grab a piece of that now and try to run with it. And, once again, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai gonna hold you accountable for that, man. All right. But I ain't gonna hold you. I hope that video was edifying. Shalom.